Howdy, y'all. Today is April 21st. Let's do chores together. The first thing we'll do is let old Whitetail out. He's gonna need some more food. He's still got some water, but he usually just kind of follows me around the farm. Next, we'll jump over here and see what the chicks are looking like. Looks like they are happily running around. They still have food, still have water, so that's good. But we'll go ahead and top everything off. This is the feeder that is slowly breaking down on me. Whitetail's pretty simple to take care of. Just about a quarter scoop of food, toss it in this bowl, and he's done. He's out running around in the barn at the moment. I only have to fill up his water maybe once a week, so it's not too bad. The chicks are nice and simple. Got them plenty of food, refill of water, and they are done. This net is going to need to be moved today. It's kind of angling down to a point. We'll deal with that probably last. First thing we'll do is turn that off. We'll come over here and actually open up the net. That makes it a little easier to get in and out. These little clips are kind of awkward, a little hard one-handed. Pull this one up. And looks like we'll need to pull this one up too. That way we can at least start moving the coops. The first thing I like going around and doing is taking all the food and water out of the coops. That way I can slide them. And these girls are definitely needing some more food and water. Just set those off to the side there. Make sure it stays good and latched. And then we'll just go around and do it with all the coops. Got to get in this one. They pushed one over. This is the coop with Blacktail. He's mellowed out. That speckled Sussex coop there is my most high consumption rate of feed. They just demolish it. As soon as you put it in there, it's gone in a couple hours. The other chickens, they're fine for a full maybe 16 hours, no problem. This last coop over here is my most mellow coop. They are a really quiet group. They hardly eat anything. They hardly drink anything. They are just easy going. Same amount of birds as all the other coops though. So once I've gotten all the food and water out, I go around to the back of the coops and start propping them up. All right, and then we just start pulling. There's one done. My finger's still a little sore from when Whitetail got me last week, but I'm able to do quite a bit more with it now, which is nice. This tarp, I have definitely put zip ties on multiple times, but they keep snapping off. I don't know if it's just the angle of this one, but I don't know. They just always snap off. These round coops, there's never an issue with them popping off zip ties. And just like that, we have 120 chickens moved. After that, I grab a feed bucket, go around back, and start grabbing eggs. little black dot in the upper part of the screen there, that's whitetail. He is slowly making his way all the way out here. Chickens are getting a little closer, but man, that is a far jump for him to come. I kind of don't want him to come out here because he's not going to want to leave. Well, there is no turning back for him now. I think he has found all of his hens that he's been looking for. Whitetail, you gonna come back with me? Nah, there's no chance he's coming back up with me. So, gonna carry all these up to the barn, put the eggs down, and then refill them. And while I'm thinking about it, I just walked in there and remembered I'm gonna set these plants out, grab more of my Brussels sprouts, and then I do want to get those into the ground today. But I think we'll probably get about 5 dozen today. I do kind of quickly glance and look and see if I see any cracks or chips. Then I'll just chuck them right out the door there. But it's usually when I'm washing them that I will look at everything a little closer and make sure all the eggs are good to go. So far we're up to 3 dozen. I think this will be an easy 5. That finishes that one off. And we had another dozen. So that takes us to 4 now. I just love these dark eggs. They're just beautiful. All right, there's 5 dozen. There might even be 6 in here today. The most I've ever gotten in a day, I think, is 7 dozen. So we've got 2 more left in here. So we've got 6 dozen plus 2 eggs. If you need eggs, you know who to talk to. Just cracked open the last trash can full of chicken food, so I'm gonna be needing to get some more here soon. And we're off. I can carry 5 in one hand, empty, but not full for very long. What are you doing, Sonny? Go back in there. And there's your guys' food. Here are the pigs of the farm, my speckled Sussex. These things just eat and eat and eat constantly. If it's raining, I'll generally tuck those feeders a little further back in the middle. Or if it's coming in, I know from typically the west side, I'll put the feeders more on the east side. Depends on a lot of things, but just to try and keep those dry. Whitetail's coming all the way back out. He actually did follow me up. Now that the food's out of the way, I grab all the waters and put them in the wagon and then start filling those up. You're gonna get your exercise in today, buddy. At this point, I go ahead and put the wagon up because I can't run the waters out in the wagon because half the water just splashes out. So on my way back, I turn the water on and then start filling everything up. So all the basics, food, water, grabbing eggs, moving coops, everything's taken care of. I do still need to move the net. I'll do that a little later once I go around and check water one more time this evening. But up next, I'm gonna crack open that beehive. Fingers crossed we see some good brood in there from the new queen that I put in there last week. But I have my doubts. I unfortunately didn't see anything good in that hive. A lot of drones, still drone brood, still evidence of laying workers. So my guesses are they probably killed that queen I put in there and that colony is just gonna die. I'd imagine they'll probably be done within 30 to 45 days just because it's unsustainable. Drones aren't doing anything. They can't reproduce. There's no queen in there. Laying workers don't cut it. So it's just a lost cause. I can't really help them out too much at this point. Even if I was able to, it's really hard to overcome getting rid of laying workers. So my other hive right now, the queens should be hatching here soon, probably another few days. So that hive still has a lot of work to sort out on their own. So there's just not much I can do with the one out here on the farm. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, doesn't look like we're gonna have any bees out here this year. Got the net all moved. I shouldn't have to move that for a good long time. Since the coops are all together and not spaced out, I can stretch that net even further, which is pretty handy. Whitetail is still walking around out here. I managed to keep him outside of the net, so that's nice. I'm gonna grab the power over here and pound that in toward the entrance. That way I don't have to walk all the way back here to get that on and off whenever I'm messing with the chickens. It's just nice to walk straight to it. And I keep this hammer out here, just a plastic mallet. So we will go hook that up. And we are live. So chickens are all good to go. I've done water. I'm probably not gonna start any more projects for today. Whitetail is starting to get a little too brave, I think, going out there by himself. It is nothing but wide open skies. There are hawks going back and forth here all the time. So I hope he's at least gonna be smart about it. Howdy y'all, today is April 22nd. We're slowly warming up temperature-wise today. We'll be in the mid-60s, so it feels way better than this weekend did. Right now, we've got the trailer hooked up. My dad bought a fun little toy 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. So we've got the trailer over here. We're gonna load it up and take it out to the farm and have some fun. So here's the new toy, a log splitter. So we've got plenty of wood to chop, split, and get drying over here. So figured we'd bring it on out and have some fun with it today. But we've messed around with this a few times already, and it is just a breeze to work with. It is really nice. Right now, I'm slowly bringing some plants down that have been upstairs in the grow room, getting them used to things. A few Brussels sprouts, some black crims, marigolds, and then my larger tomatoes. These larger ones I was kind of starting to struggle with. You can see some of them were getting a little spindly like this one because they're shading each other out up there because there's 3 grow lights, but I mean, you just don't get the good spread up there. So definitely nice to start getting them out, getting some good sunshine on them. I'm only gonna leave them out for about an hour because it's their first time out. So got just plants sitting a little bit everywhere for that. So this year we decided to make the rows a little bit wider. So we're putting down 2 weed cloths on each row and we're staggering the plants. So these I just recycling from last year. I just moved it a little bit so that way we get everything kind of catty corner with each other. So that should be nice and simple and still run T-posts right down the middle. And there we have it. That is what one row is going to look like. I'll do some transplanting on the Brussels sprouts out to the garden here in a little while. I'm gonna let them stay out of the sun for a little longer. It's actually starting to get a little overcast. Tomorrow is going to be storming and raining, so it'll be good and cloudy for them, but hopefully not too windy or damaging hail or anything crazy. So far it looks like just a storm. But ideally, I'm going to move Whitetail out of this coop, put him in this mobile coop out here that I'm working on. If I can get that looking pretty nice, I can throw him out there tonight. Then we can start using this as kind of a transition just to keep all the plants in here. Get them out of the grow room upstairs. And of course the wind is picking up right when I'm about to put this tarp on. That's all right though, we'll fight through it. got her zip tied down really well. Last thing I got to do is put a little bit more screen here, the door in there, and then drill a couple holes in the side here and put a rope so I can pull on it, and then pop some wheels on the back. As long as I can get the rope on the front and this screen today, which shouldn't be a problem, I can throw a whitetail in here tonight. I'll probably go ahead and put a roost up for him. Since this will be a meat bird coop, there's not really a point in putting a roost in here because they're pretty much ground dwellers, but at least to keep him comfortable. That way he can hang out. And then once my meat birds go into this coop, it'll probably be when they're 3 weeks old, then whitetail will take residence back up in that coop. A little bit of juggling around, but it all works out. Whitetail coming back from a nice leisurely stroll. I just got his coop done. I put a little roost bar in the back there. Finished screening everything. I do need to put some zip ties over here. But this coop's done, minus the pulley on the front and then the wheels on the back. But it'll still be a few weeks before the chicks go in here, but at least he'll have a nice spot. I currently have 42 tomato plants. I'm gonna try and sell about 16 of them as starts. And then that'll leave me with probably about a row of tomatoes. My mom's doing so many tomatoes that I'm just gonna let her do the bulk of the garden. Honestly, she's just planting so much. So anyways, I might go ahead and plant some Brussels sprouts. I'm a little nervous too because we are getting just a downpour all day tomorrow. But I would like to get them out. So I think I'll probably plant 2 and just hope they do okay. There's one of my little baby Brussels sprouts planted. For reference, that's my hand there. So they're still pretty tiny, but I hope they'll be all right out here. I'm tending to overwater them. That's why the leaves are getting a little yellow. That's what I did to this one over here. So it's basically dead, so I don't feel too bad throwing it out here in case it gets lucky, because it is starting to grow some new shoots off the top. But yeah, we'll experiment with these 2 for a couple days. Make sure, well, primarily this one. I think that other one's toast. And then if this one does all right, we'll go ahead and plant the rest. It's not direct sun or anything that I'm worried about at this point. I've been taking them out for hours at a time, every day. So they're fine on getting adjusted to that. It's just the wind out here is relentless, especially when storms blow through. So I think they're low enough to the ground they'll be okay, where they won't snap. But I don't know, they're my little Brussels sprouts that have taken forever to get to this size. So I don't want to just throw them out here and they all die. So we'll just wait and see on this one after this storm blows through. I think it's about time to put another feeder in here because these Cornish cross, they just live to eat. That's what they're bred for basically, is just to pack on the pounds in a short amount of time. All they do is eat and eat and eat. So I want to get another feeder in here for them. So that way no one's going hungry, because these things just grow so quick that they need a lot of food. So I think, yeah, that's pretty tight. So let me go round up another feeder for them and pop it in. I started getting this coop set up just a little bit. I put a couple of the benches in here, and that way we can put the cold weather stuff out that we're getting ready to plant, or just has to get used to being outside a little longer in here, and then we can throw them in the garden. Those Brussels sprouts, as soon as we see how the ones in the garden do, or really the one does, then we'll plant the others here in a few days. Whitetail's in here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab him and put him in that new coop that I just finished today. He was nice and simple to move. When it gets dark out, they basically just are paralyzed. So got him some nice fresh food, fresh water. I put him up on that roost back there, but he wasn't interested yet. So we'll let him snack around and make sure he finds that tonight. But he is all set up. Howdy out. Today is April 23rd. According to the radar, I have exactly 27 minutes to get chores done before I get completely drenched. I think we'll be all right. It doesn't look like a really severe thunderstorm or anything. Primarily just a huge band of heavy rain with a little bit of something in there, but nothing huge. So I'm gonna jog through chores here. It's just now starting to rain, so I didn't get too terribly wet. When I was filling the waters up is when it slowly started sprinkling. So the system is right here, and luckily everything is done, so that's a good feeling. Right now I think my hose got me more wet than the actual rain at this point. It's got a pretty bad leak on it. I need to fix it. It got run over by the mower sometime last year, but it looks pretty bad. So it kind of just creates a puddle, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. Today is April 25th, beautiful sunny day. A little weird, I don't see whitetail walking around, so maybe he took a walk out there. But usually he's up around the barn, so hopefully he's okay. I was worried about you, knucklehead. We must have just passed each other, but he's hanging out in the barn, so I'm glad he's okay. I was kind of worried because last night was the first time that I'd let him out after moving him to that new little mobile coop. So I didn't know if he went in or not, but I guess he did, or at least found a safe spot. Doing a little Brussels sprout planting now. The one that I had planted is kind of the test run. It's kind of that mysterious hole that gets dug by the plants and dug down, and whatever it is even kind of caught the leaf. It was happening all last year too. I don't know what was doing it. My best guess were the frogs burrowing down to get some moisture, because I did see that quite a bit, but I haven't seen any frogs yet, so I don't know exactly what caused that. I still have about another 13 Brussels sprouts to get in the ground. I need a little bit more weed cloth, so I'm gonna wait till another day till I get that. Right now I just finished tilling up one of these front patches here, so I'm gonna rake that out, and then we'll get some wildflowers planted in here. It says it can do 200 square feet, so I think this will even cover another flower bed, no problem. I tilled up the last little bit of space here because I didn't have enough bulbs this fall to finish this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant these bulbs in here. And actually the ones that I planted, like I think it was last month, they're already starting to bud, which is crazy. I thought for sure they wouldn't bloom. I do have one random wildflower from last year. I tried making these beds wildflower patches, but I didn't have water yet, so it was kind of hard to keep those things up. I tore through this small bed here, ripped out all the weeds. This is kind of my viney stuff. I had weed cloth on it, but the grass was starting to push it up, so I pulled it off last week. And the grass was growing like crazy, so I weeded it real quick. I didn't really have that weed cloth down very good, so that's why it was starting to come up. But right here is the grapes and two little raspberries on the end, and I think this one was a blackberry. Howdy, yeah. Today is April 26th. We've got a little bit of rain off in the distance. Nothing that I'm worried about. Today is hatch day for the elementary school, so I have been talking to some of the elementary school teachers there, and so far it sounds like they have quite a few that are hatching. We did have one little mishap. We have one chick that hatched with kind of a bloody sack attached to it, is how the teacher described it. They sent a picture. I couldn't quite tell what was going on, but my guess is that the yolk didn't completely get absorbed or something weird happened there. So no updates yet on that chick. Gave them some guidance on what they can possibly do. There's not too much you can do for that. But hopefully the chick makes it. But so far the kids are having a great time, and the teachers are really enjoying it as well. And on the menu for the chickens today, we've garnished their feed with some broccoli and carrots. They're just leftovers, so I think that they will thoroughly enjoy that. I've got the majority of my larger tomatoes out, a few hanging out on the trailer over there, my really big ones. And it's starting to cloud up a lot more. Of course, that's how it works. So it does look like there's actually gonna be a little thunderstorm that's gonna move in about 45 minutes. As long as the wind doesn't pick up too much, I'll leave the tomatoes out. If not, I'm just gonna throw them in the north winter chicken coop there. But to beat this rain, I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting the rest of the pasture. I didn't get everything cut. I had a teacher call and say one of the heat lamps isn't working very well. So I'm just gonna run a new heat lamp by. It was perfect timing anyway because it was starting to rain. So while it's doing that, it's a small little band of rain. So by the time I'm done running this over, it should be done, and then I can keep on working out of the farm. But so far, I think she has 9 chicks that have hatched, which is really cool. 2 more are working on it, and yeah, so I want to get this heat lamp to her so that way she's just set up and good to go. Everything's good at the school now, got the heat lamp figured out. It's just the sockets kind of wiggly and loose. They can be a little finicky, but that's all good. But it gave me a chance to look at the one chick that had a little bit of an issue. It looks like it's gonna pull out of it just fine, so that's good. I think we're up to 21 chicks that have hatched so far. The incubators are really full. There's still more hatching, so that's pretty good. We might end up with somewhere between 25 and 30 chicks, it's looking like. I'm gonna wait a few hours and see if this grass will dry out enough to finish cutting it. I only got a few passes done on it. I think it's even a little too wet to till at this point, so I'm gonna look at doing some other projects. Every year I plan to plant 1 lilac because I just love lilacs. So I got this property at the end of 22, so I have 3 lilacs now. This is the 3rd one. I have 2 more up front, but they smell so good, so I love these. So this one's gonna go right here. It's gonna kind of hide the meter base. And also I'm gonna be putting a front porch on this barn at some point. So this will be kind of nice. It'll grow over just a little bit to overhang, so when you're sitting there, you can just smell it. So we'll get this thing in the ground. We've got sunshine again. Perfect working conditions right now. Right now I'm planting some more Brussels sprouts. My little trial patch has been doing just fine. So now I'm actually getting them planted in the rows. I think I have maybe 20 to go. So slowly digging them out and getting them in. I'm tucking these in pretty tightly to kind of help stabilize them a little bit from the wind while they're getting established, because the wind out here is just ruthless sometimes. I just noticed this tomato plant here has some little blossoms on it. That's pretty cool. These tomatoes are really nice size. This is what I had envisioned, several months ago when I was planting the garden. I wanted some that were already huge and ready to start producing by the time that they're planted. So they still have a little while before they get in the garden, but I'm really happy with these 3. It's just kind of tough getting too many up and going because of the light situation in space. So the others look good, but they were getting a little spindly because you could tell they didn't have that direct light. This one had the nicest. It's a nice dark green, but these are still doing just fine. So Next year, maybe rotate them more. I was doing that this year, but I mean, once again, it's kind of tough to do all that and get everything growing relatively evenly, but these are really nice looking tomatoes here. It's currently 60 degrees outside, overcast. Tonight it's staying in the 60s, so it is perfect weather to get these tomatoes out and leave them out. Now that I'm starting to make some space in here by getting all the tomatoes out and other little starts, I'm gonna go ahead and start some cucumbers, some more marigolds, and some more catnip. As boring as it is, I do every now and then sit out at dusk and just check the mobile coops to see if I have any nest sleepers, and then I push them out so that way they can figure out that I don't want them in there, because there's maybe 2 coops out here where the eggs are just always dirty, which is typically a sign of sleeping in nesting boxes. So it's the pearl whites. The pearl whites are awful at that. Right now I have 2 more that are just slowly figuring out. It's getting to the point that it's so dark they can't really see too well anyway, so I'm about done. One just went up, just one more. Yeah, overall I think there were maybe 8 chickens in total, primarily in pearl whites that were in the nesting boxes. I don't mind if they're sitting on eggs and it's just 1 chicken in a box, but when you have a pile of chickens in the nesting box, I don't like that. So overall the majority were good, but there's a handful that needed a little bit of reminder. So it looks like this coop is actually all good now. So we are done with that.